In my early 20s, I didn't have a lot of confidence. I had been on a weight loss program, I had lost the weight. I was just getting started with exercise, but losing the weight didn't make me more confident in myself because I was just focusing on a number on the scale and not what was going on inside my head because mindset is super important when it comes to exercise and nutrition and is overlooked in a lot of fitness programs. When I didn't have that confidence, I have always kind of worked in a bar setting, and sometimes bar patrons are not nice. And I would just let them yell at me or scream at me or maybe grab my arm when I didn't want them to touch me. But in my head, I was never going to win against them. So I never said no. I never told my bosses because it was just something that happens. But then I started training like my favorite fantasy characters to survive those worlds. And as I started learning how to box, to swing a sword, to throw an axe, I started to see that show up in my life in ways that I never envisioned. Because now, when someone tried to touch me without my permission, I could loudly say to them, no. And really seeing that confidence show up in my everyday life was something that I never expected or envisioned when I told someone I wanted to train to survive the zombie apocalypse. In this video, I'm going to tell you one of the most unexpected side effects of completely changing the way I did fitness and exercise. One of the first things I noticed when I started training for my fantasy worlds is that because I was getting into the mindset of these characters while I was working out or imagining them beside me, that when I stopped working out, they were still in my head. So when I was out in the world and things were maybe in a position where I needed to be loud or I needed to make my voice heard, I was thinking like, what would Nesta do in this situation? Or what would Ari do in this situation? And they were like kind of like the angel and demon on your shoulder, except I had warrior badasses on my shoulder being like, girl, don't put up with this. You have to put them in their place. So one of the things that I noticed that this helped me with a lot is that when I work in a bar, a lot of the times, especially some of the like older customers will like touch you as they take your order. And I'm not really a hugger unless I really know you. I don't want you to touch me, but I put up with it because it's like you're supposed to be nice. They give you money, right? But as I started doing this training, I was like, if I set the boundaries, they are either going to honor them or not. And in some of these situations where I hadn't set those boundaries, some of these things have started to escalate to the point where I was having to get other people involved because I had let people then walk over me for so long that even me trying to set a boundary was like, no, it's fine. But as I've started this training and gotten more comfortable with setting boundaries, not only am I telling them like, hey, don't touch me, if they keep pushing, I don't back down. I'm not afraid of what they're going to do or like if they don't give me money or tip me, who cares? Because I've set that boundary firmly in place. And it's awesome to be able to swing a sword or shield while you're exercising, but it feels so empowering to stand somewhere and be like, 20-year-old me in the past is watching me now and being like, that's what we needed. One of the early things that I started with when I started to want to train with a sword was look up things that you can do. You can always Google workouts, and it brought up Indian clubs and mace training. And one of the things is a lot of the time, if you're anything like me, when you start something new and you're not great at it the first time, you're just done. Like maybe you get a little triggered or you're mad because you're not great at it. So you just stop. But because I was having fun doing it, even when I will tell you I knew nothing about maces, there still is not a lot of stuff out there because they are so new that I had a free personal training session. And when I sent that this was the tool I had, they sent me back a workout that was like a level 5 and I was like a novice. So when I tried to do this move that was way above my level, I almost took out a wall in my house. I crushed one of my fairy wind chimes with said mace and was like, oh man, like my husband's going to be so mad that there is now a hole in our wall. But I didn't give up. Instead, I found some people who were also training with us and they were like, yo, girl, you cannot just be starting with 360 halos. You have to do some like lateral press outs and some triceps because you have to work those smaller muscles first before you do those big dynamic workouts. So it really helped me like break things down into smaller pieces. So that instead of getting mad because I couldn't do the thing, I was like, I can't do the thing because I don't have the basic skills for this yet, so that I could pull myself back and work on those small, tiny goals that got me to that bigger goal versus just quitting because I couldn't do it. What this really did for my mindset is because a lot of the times we just have like a goal finish line and we don't know how to get there. So whether it's learning to swing a mace or run a marathon, like you can't just go out and run a marathon. You have to do the small steps to get there. So this really helped me kind of take a step back so that I could see the bigger picture and celebrate each small win to get me to that goal. Instead of just being discouraged because I couldn't do it yet, I started with those smaller wins. Like, I can't do it yet, but I can do this. And then once I got really good at this, I moved up to that next step, and breaking it down helped me to not only stay consistent and get there, it kept me excited because in my head, I was winning, even if I wasn't there yet. And then when I got there, I knew that it wasn't the end because I would just keep going. The final way that training like a fantasy character has helped me is that one of the things they talk about a lot is battle breaths, where you take a minute, you pause, you breathe in for 4, out for 4. It's also called box breathing, but it's helped me to take a step back in situations where, like, maybe my first response is to, like, if you have kids, sometimes they do dumb things and your first response is to scream at them, which doesn't do any good because if I have a problem with another adult, screaming at them isn't going to help. So it has helped me take those pauses and be able to kind of find my inner peace before asking them, like, listen, that was dumb. Why did you do it? And that's helped a lot in any of my relationships because instead of reacting instantly, I like pause and evaluate the surroundings because sometimes, yeah, the bar fight's going to start in that battle or in that fantasy world and you want to fight. And sometimes if you take a minute, you realize that you're significantly outnumbered and you need to like go about this a little bit more diplomatically. So having that moment to like pause and reset yourself and like maybe check in with the two badasses on your shoulder. Like, are we fighting or are we talking our way out of this one? If this sounds like something that you're interested, if you want a fitness program that's not just about getting you that exercise results, but really on helping yourself build more courage and confidence and strength. Because being in a fantasy world is more than just about if you can outlast the bad guys. It's about the mindset that you have because we want to be the kind of person that people want to be sitting on that throne or beside them in battle, not the person that they don't want to call in a situation. Come hang out in my community. We are working on these skills every day, and we have tons of people who have different circumstances and life events that will help you through those tough times so that you can be the hero of your story. This is what worked for me when I went from the girl in her 20s who was quiet as a mouse to the badass warrior before you now who knows how to stand up for herself and the people who need someone in their corner. Oh, if you want to work on this too, join my community. The link is in the description.